There were so many policymakers who really wanted to know what teachers thought, but just didn't have a way of finding them. And so when I started to hear that, I knew that we were really onto something, and that's really how Teach Plus is.
You're thinking as you were starting, like coming here, I've heard it a little bit, but it was a long time ago.
Indeed. Yeah. So I worked for Teach Plus, and then my family decided to move to Texas for family reasons. And I didn't want to leave the organization. I was just so passionate about the ways that teachers can make a difference in the world, and wanted to see, hey, is there a need for this in Texas? So the first thing I did, of course, was go find the teachers. So had a chance to go out and meet a number of teachers. And I said, you guys be my advisory board. Tell me, like, what's going on in the state in education. Do you think there's a need for more teacher voice? What would you want to advocate for if you had a chance to go and tell, the leaders in our in the state about your own experience in your classrooms? And I immediately discovered there was a really big need for it, that there were just so many extraordinary teachers like Natalie Brown and others who really had a lot to say. And then also on the flip side, there were so many policymakers who really wanted to know what teachers thought, but just didn't have a way of finding them. And so when I started to hear that, I knew that we were really onto something. That's really how Teach Plus Texas was.
We're about to launch our 10th cohort. So much time and so many different major policies, right? Like in those 10 years that have really improved student achievement, which is at the core of Teach Plus, right? Like the teachers, are the catalyst for the change, but it's in service of, nearly 5 million students across Texas. And so as you look back, what are some of your proudest moments? Those highlights of knowing that this was going to reach so many people. Just what are your top highlights and fondest memories of your time at Teach Plus over the past 10 years? Well, it's Texas. Teach Plus much longer. But Teach Plus Texas, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say a few things. So one, it is the impact that the teachers have made in the world. You were a teacher, coming from Dallas. Jamil was a teacher, who came to make just such a big difference. So I think a couple of the examples of that were number one, HB3. So, this huge school funding overhaul that policymakers had been thinking about for a long time, we knew were needed, but was so big and complex, you could not possibly make that change without the voice of teachers who are in the classroom every day, the best teachers who are doing such great work. So the passage of HB3, which, we've heard from so many people, it would not have taken the shape that it did. And teachers really played a critical role in the passage of that $6.5 billion school funding overhaul that has made such a difference, both for teachers in their careers, but also especially for kids and their life outcomes. And that's really what we're seeking to do. Another is the incredible work that has been done in Teach Plus Texas around teachers leading in their own schools and classrooms and school districts. And you, Sofie, have been throughout such an incredible leader. You were one of the first people I hired to do this work, where we would support teachers to lead within Harmony Public Schools and lead the transformation. And the examples of what came out of that were so just meaningful to the students. The whole leadership of Harmony, said this was part of their school transformation efforts. And what has happened now since then is that some of the examples of that work and other work that Teach Plus Texas has done has helped to inform this national effort, the Center for Inspired Teaching and Exceptional Learning, where Teach Plus is really serving as a sector leader to spread this idea of teachers leading teams of their peers across the whole country.
I would add, just sort of from my perspective, what happened in Harmony was a full system level
Yes.
transformation over time that happened because we really had enough touch points with teacher leaders. And those teachers were so collaborative and really took on that task of growing as leaders, of working with their peers to improve instruction, that over the course of the years that we worked with Harmony, their whole teaching and learning culture shifted. It was a really powerful thing to get to be a part of, to see what they did.
The things that have happened as a result of Harmony work, the HB3 work, which is teachers continuing, I'm not executive director now, but like through this incredible work that you both did around HB2 and the, additional significant, funding overhaul, strategic investments in education, as well as the teacher, the vacancy task force. And I think what's so powerful about the task force was that clearly the leaders at the very highest levels in the state recognized the power of teacher voice and the value of having teachers at the table, and really created this structure and brought Teach Plus in to lead that. So that's so powerful. And then the last thing I'll say is just like the individual stories of teachers and what an impact it has made on them. I had a teacher come up to me last night who said, I was about to leave the classroom. I wasn't sure if my work was meaningful, but now I'm able to make a difference for all of the students in the state and also, stay in the classroom and keep teaching my kids. And that's just such an important part of what we're all trying to do.
That connection
to
to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
From taking your classroom experience and connecting it to that broader impact is huge for teachers.
I think it brings up for me the fact that like teachers want to continuously be developed as professionals, and we do think about professional development for teachers, but they want to take on more leadership roles, but without leaving the classroom. And I think that's one thing that Teach Plus is known for, and I think is so important in this space because it's effective teachers want to continue doing what they do well, right? Which is connecting with communities, connecting with, parents, improving students, and creating a safe ecosystem all around. And yet they want to be able to elevate the solutions that they've identified that they can see will impact the system. And so what Teach Plus Texas has done, like for the past 10 years, is really give teachers that outlet to say, like, my number one job is as an educator and to improve student outcomes. And like, I have the experience, the expertise, the ideas to help support policy or systems level change in districts to improve that, and know that, students will continue to benefit from that. And so I think that's what makes Teach Plus so special for educators is it does show them that their impact can be on the four walls of their classroom or their school building, and they can still stay and do what they love to do. And we need them to stay. Like, we need those highly effective teachers to stay in the classroom. And so this gives us an opportunity for them to continue to learn and grow and really elevate the things that they've identified that work to share that with other ecosystems or school systems across the state. And so I just think that's what makes it so special. And like you said, teachers consistently say, I was burnt out or I was about to leave. And then this showed me like I needed, right? Like what I know is valuable, what I do is valuable, my ideas are valuable. And sharing that is so powerful with people who can then implement the ideas that I have. And so I think I'm so grateful that you started that here and have given the opportunity to the thousands of teachers that we've had over, the 10 years. And I just think about, the students like underneath all of those thousands of teachers that have come through and how they continue, like their journey doesn't end when their fellowship ends or their time with us, and they continue to stay involved. And I think that really is such an impactful story, is that it continues.
Yeah. I talked to a teacher last night who said, so how do I get first day in the fellowship. How do teachers get multiple years in fellowships? He's already looking to stay.
I remember that being my question to Lindsay when Lindsay was in front of us, and I was like, okay, well, like, what happens after year 1, right? and then it was like, okay, 2, and then I was like, well, how do I stay involved? But to that point, I also think what's been really great is we have evolved, and we have really said, like, this has become such a notice need for teachers. Like, they want to stay.
It's a part of the state ecosystem now.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the opportunity for building that alumni support and work is really strong 10 years in.
Right.
Because we have this huge pool of talent, really.
And it's why, we continue to add on programs, right? Like, it was a statewide policy fellowship. We now have, multiple programs, whether it's regional, whether it's with school systems, and whether it's niche things like, early childhood. And I think as we continue to evolve, it will just be the need to give teachers what they are craving for their own development and to honor their ideas. Like, it's because they have such great solutions that work, HB3 and the teacher incentive allotment continues to be refined, even through HB2 in 2025. Like, it wasn't just refined, it was expanded. And when we look across the country, right, like, strategic compensation works in Texas, where we don't necessarily see as much success in other states. But I think that because of that, it was because teachers really had the input in how it would work. And it was teacher voice and then helping structure a system that I think has made it sustainable and expand across the state, where I don't know if that would have been the case otherwise. The future is bright for Teach Plus Texas. We have expanded programs. We continue to think about ways in which we can increase teacher leadership across the state and, partner with organizations who believe in teacher voice and teacher leadership and help us amplify those ideas. And I'm excited because we're now starting to think about, like, the workforce component, right? I mean, knowing that it is an ecosystem, and it's that whole through line of preparing, students while they're with us in K-12, but that preparation and what we do impacts what they do post-graduation. And how do we start thinking about them earning a livable wage? Like, what role do teachers play as engines of economic mobility? And I think that will be our next chapter.
I would add to that it's, as I see our programs evolve, I think we are deepening the ways that teachers own the work that we're all doing. I think that we are getting better at handing the responsibility and the creativity to them. And I think that makes our programs stronger because they do have incredible solutions.
I'll add to that is just the incredible moment of change in the country, significant changes to the economy and the workforce, the impact of AI on both what's happening in education and also what careers students will be going into. And it is so powerful to me, even the conversations I was able to have in the last night about how teachers when in a moment of radical change like that, you really need to hear what's happening in the classrooms. You need teachers to be the experimenters who are testing things out and quickly evolving the conversation. And so I think what's so powerful is that these 10 years have built this sort of force of these incredible teachers and a platform, and that the work of Teach Plus Texas will be needed more than ever. And as you said, future is so bright given the incredible teachers and what needs to be accomplished in the days to come.